Hello, everybody. Welcome to my presentation. My name is Juan Carlos Castillo. I am currently a postdoctoral research fellow at the Department of Policy and Science and Technology here at the University of Campinas. And I would like to present this proposed work plan that I prepared as a candidate for a visiting professorship position at the Federal University of ABC here also in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So let us start. I prepared this presentation in line with the proposal that I just submitted, which is divided in three general sections. The first one relates to the working papers that I aim to conduct during the time that has been allocated for this professorship position. The second one relates to other papers that I have already finished, that have been already submitted to some journals and that I have obtained revised and resubmit decision and that I would like to continue working on them. And the last part relates to the general links of this research agenda to the general project and work plan and pedagogic project that the University of ABC has and that is required for candidates to inform how we align to your topics. So first of all, let us start. The first section, as I mentioned, relates to the proposed articles that I would like to continue working on. This relates to my general research interest, which is the economics of technological change and innovation. And the key part of my agenda is that I focus on microeconomics, firm level dynamics, which mainly relate to the fact that I utilize industrial and innovation service, and that the key point for me is also the fact that I am focusing on Latin American countries, contemporary issues, such as the case of Colombia, Chile, and also Brazil. So this is what I would like to continue working on. The first one relates to instruments of intellectual property protection at the service sector. The second one relates to the transition to a more sustainable economy, green and social innovation. The third one relates to impact evaluation of innovation support programs, which is evaluating the effectiveness of one important program in Brazil called FINEPI. Another part relates to the link, reassessing the link between economic growth and innovation nexus. I aim to conduct this at the regional level for several municipalities here in Brazil. And finally, some other ideas that I'm throwing there, like firm level determinants of biotech investment and of energy efficiency. So these are the general ideas that I have. So let me elaborate on what I aim to produce for each corresponding paper. First of all, you see here is that I aim to analyze intellectual property protection of the service sectors. There is not much analysis on this type of instruments for the service sector. And the reason for this is that firms operating here are reluctant to utilize this legal framework, which, as we know, includes patents, which includes trademarks, includes copyrights, utility models, design registration. And the reason for this is that the output generated by the service sector, the innovation output, is intangible, and therefore it's very difficult for firms that innovate to exclude imitators from benefiting from their own invention, right? So I would like to extend this analysis for the service sector in the case of the Chilean economy. And my empirical strategy is to conduct something that is called a multivariate probability analysis, which is like similar to a probit, but the idea is to simultaneously assess likelihood to adopt any given instrument at the same time, meaning that I try to run the regression simultaneously because this is like a part of the methodology. Another important thing is that in order to correct for sample selection biases, you also need to take into consideration innovators and also those potential innovators. So innovators means that the literature suggests that you have to take into consideration firms that are following technological innovation, product and process innovation, non-technological innovation, organizational and marketing, but also you need to consider those firms that reported that had ongoing scientific projects and also those that abandoned projects. This is information that is common to find in an innovation service, so it's important to consider also the role of potential innovators. I focus on the case of Chile, the innovation service that are biannually produced by the country. and that are publicly available, something which is great because that helps us keep track of what the Chilean economy is doing. I mean, and it's also interesting to know that Chile has become a standard for innovation policy making, so therefore I justify this as an interesting case study. So this is the first paper. The second one relates to the transition to a more sustainable economy. Now we are seeing more and more studies analyzing the determinants of green innovation. Green innovation, as we all know, refers to the environmentally friendly action that the firm conducts in order to protect natural assets, in order to protect the environment and everything. There are two key types of eco-innovation. The first one relates to resource efficiency, which is to strategies to reduce the consumption of water, of electricity. Other one that the literature suggests is environmental sensitiveness, like meaning how aware the firm is about the damage that is making to the environment. And well, so far it has been considered like a number of determinants for eco-innovation, whether this is driven by technology push factors, market pull factors, the regulatory environment, and everything. However, we are now facing something that is called a fair transition, meaning that if firms are going green, but they are also going digital, but they are also going social, no? So what I consider was the fact was what about considering whether the social initiatives that the firm has, they also whether they also stimulate firms to conduct social innovation. No, social innovation includes inclusive business models, social entrepreneurship, corporate social responsibility practices, and so forth. No, so here the part the econometric strategy implies running something that is called the ordinal logistic regression, because well, here in the innovation service you ask firm to inform how relevant it is for them to conduct any given any innovation related project, green related project. With one, they report one if it's null, if it's not important for them, and they report four whether it's highly relevant for this type for their own objectives of the firm. So what I do is to plug into the equation the market, the technology, the market, the technology, and the regulatory variables. And I also try to include the part of social innovation as a new contribution to existing research, considering whether social innovation also linked to, or could be also linked to green innovation. Here one more time, I relied on information for Chile. Chile is also, as I mentioned, it's a good standard for innovation in Latin America, but it's also a country that has a very good position in terms of the transition to a more to a cleaner economy. It has high energy potential, a vast lithium and copper reserves, vast biodiversity. So it's also a good case to analyze this, and it has also been successful in supporting entrepreneurs. So that's the reason why I decided to also include to also focus on Chile for this particular paper. The next one is is the an impact evaluation assessment of the FINEPI program. Here it's thanks to the work that I have been doing here at Unicapi. I have managed to access firm level information from an innovation support program very famous in Brazil, which is called FINEPI. So the idea here is to evaluate whether the firms that receive non-reimbursable funds have improved the performance after they access this public support for innovation. So here we are trying to analyze different areas of performance, which is not only the fact whether the firm is selling more, whether the firm is hiring more skilled labor. Also, we are considering factors such as they are able to produce for international markets, whether they are able to patent more. Here the idea is to use the standard econometric procedures such as propensity score matching, and then the different, which is the idea to evaluate not only those that access the funds, but also those that did not access the funds but were likely to access the funds. No? So you have a control group and you have the other one that that did receive the group. So you are basically comparing and assuming that you have a matching sample, and then you are able to infer like a comparison between these two. So this is the general idea for paper number 3. For paper number 4, it's also related to Brazil. Even though there are widespread analysis analyzing the impact of economic growth on innovation, it's surprising to see that the results are still ambiguous in the fact that some of them tell you that the link between innovation and economic growth is very straightforward, that is nearly unquestionable, and there are other cases that tell you that this is not the case, no? That having economic growth doesn't necessarily generate more innovation. And the idea why you have these different results is because scholars have been utilizing different types of indicators. No, on the one hand, they are utilizing R&D expenditures, patent data, trademarks, and also they are utilizing other proxies for economic growth, such as GDP and so forth. And the other idea is that they are also considering within country dynamics, but for instance, at any given country, you also have like regional differences, no? So here we are making the question that what about the role of regional dynamics? What about the role of alternative innovation indicators? Nowadays, we can consider journal publications and so forth. So here in this case, what I have done here with colleagues is that we have constructed data set which includes Brazilian municipalities, and here we are we are able to construct indicators of productivity considering gross value added and total labor, and then we also have like we connect this information with innovation data in terms of patenting data per municipality, and also journal publications that are reported by any given region, considering the address of universities, of firms that are located at any given regional municipality in Brazil. No? So this is a data set that we already have and that we are trying to utilize to exploit by analyzing these issues. So the next part would be like other additional papers that I also have that I would like to continue working on. Basically, like this is data that is available both at PIA and Pinteki. I have been at the secret room and I realized that you can actually utilize a DVG, and I have realized that you can study the determinants of biotech investment in Brazil. This is an important contemporary issue for the Brazilian economy, because now they are facing the issue of how to grow more and without polluting more, no, growing more and polluting less. And also, like given the fact that I have also studied for Colombia, I am also interested in analyzing whether being more innovative also implies being more energy efficient. This is data that is also available for Colombian data sets that I already have access to. And here the idea is to compute energy efficiency utilizing a production function, a stochastic frontier analysis, which is a common procedure in macroeconometrics. And this can let you compute a firm level indicator, and then I could be able to conduct this type of analysis. So these are the general papers that I have in mind and that I would like to continue working on. So for the second section, it's I already have, so as I mentioned, I have already submitted to some journals, and I have been lucky enough to receive revise and resubmit decision. So my idea here would be to continue working on the revisions. For instance, I received like I submitted in April of this year one article on eco-innovation determinants for Colombia. My proposed work on Chile now includes social innovation. This one on Colombia is solely focused on the traditional determinants of innovation. I have received a revise and resubmit decision, which I have to fulfill by May 2026. So I would like to also continue working on that. And the other part is also like this idea that whether going digital also has an influence on innovation. Yet again, for the case of Colombia, I submitted to the Journal of Innovation and Development last June. A few weeks ago, I received a revised and submit decision, and I would like to fulfill this by February, March 2026. No, so these are like the projects that I have, and I would like to get more as I continue submitting papers in the next months to come. And finally, like, which are the general links that I could have with the general product of the University of ABC? So first of all, there is a section that you indicate us to tell us like which are the contemporary tendencies that I want to specialize on. So as I mentioned, like I am focusing on the pressing issue of polluting less, but it's at the firm level, and I'm also analyzing it, considering the part of the social innovation, the part of the green innovation. I also aim to produce policy recommendations for different Latin American countries, and I also like to specialize on the case of Brazil, given that, as I mentioned before, this is like a pressing issue for Brazil, growing more but polluting less, and which is remarkably important for a country that has vast natural resources and so forth. No, so it's also the fact that I have a strong focus on microeconometrics, and I also would like to consider regional differences. Therefore, I also consider the part of municipalities, which is a natural step because I mean now the focus. My focus has been panel data set of firms, but I can also specialize on panel data set of municipalities. And the last part would be like the relation of my project with the general research and teaching agenda. So as far as I can see, well, my profile will allow me to teach some of the courses that are offered both at the bachelor and at the postgraduate SAO. I am listing at the proposals the ones that I could be, that ones that I'm thinking I would be helpful at, like microeconomics, ciencia y tecnología, desenvolvimiento y sustentabilidad, like the economics of the environment, and I mean also like this part of economía social de innovación. So that would be where my profile could fit, and I guess that I could be very helpful in helping the university on their intention to internationalize. And my profile is also multidisciplinary, as I mentioned in the proposed work plan, and I guess that I could be a good candidate to join as a visiting professor at the Federal University of ABC. I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you.